At the beginning, everything was white. And then, in God's deepest dream, there was a spark of fertility. Pachamama was birthed in time and space. And the earth school, our home, was created. And the fertility goddess Pachamama opened her arms for our place to learn our lessons.
Hey, hey!
Welcome, Spiritual Mag. I'm Sam Bell. Today we are going to focus on countermeasures, Mossad, Hamas, and your core inner self. So, countermeasures. Countermeasures is where you're protecting something, and you're doing something over and above to inhibit intrusion into the information that you're trying to occlude or hide. So it's basically spying on stuff. And for a long time, it would have to be someone who would be, dressed as a beggar or a street person, and they would sit against the wall of these residences before electricity. And then where the roof hangs over the wall, there's a little space. It's called the eaves. So they would sit against the wall and just listen to what sound is coming out of the eaves. And that was called eavesdropping. It's kind of dangerous to do. But if you're good at it and spoke different languages and, really concealed yourself well and presented the information to the correct people without anybody knowing, you can have a lifestyle beyond your dreams, plus survive. So around beginning of World War II, around the beginning of World War II, before the war, the British were working on a technology to use as countermeasures, and the Germans were, and the Japanese were. The Americans weren't. The Americans were like, I don't know, watching cowboys and stuff, Captain Kangaroo or something. But the countries that basically were controlling large portions of the planet had to have superior countermeasures. And at that time, basically the nation of peoples that were most functional with countermeasures was England. They were the best because they had a small army, a medium-sized navy, a little island. The people wasn't a big deal. And at that time, the sun never set on British property, on British soil. So wherever the sun went around the earth, or the earth around the sun, or whatever the heck is going on, there was always sunlight on England property, and the Queen, that sort of thing. So they had extremely good communication skills. So they would observe, get the information quickly back to the people that made the decisions. And if you could tell what people were thinking and what they were talking about, then you could covertly or in a hidden way do things that influence their decisions, reward the decisions, encourage the decisions, trap them with their own decisions that they've made. So if you've got a big army and a big army, like say 1 million guys and 1 million guys, they go fight, it's not going to be pretty, What's really pretty is if you have 100 guys that are really good with the communications, and they can make the million guys and the million guys hate each other. So the million guys fight each other and are constantly fighting each other or eliminating each other. And then somebody else next door is going to have the same routine. So you don't want people to be in harmony. No harmony. No harmony. The enemy of your enemy is my friend. So they're using that technique, creating disharmony between different places. England, for a great degree, controlled just about everything except Russia. They didn't really want China. So there was strategic activities to manipulate Hitler into power, into attacking the Soviet Union more than anybody else. And there was specific techniques that were used by the Americans, on the Americans, with the same format, providing information that would encourage or discourage what was going on because of knowledge that was secretly obtained by what are called intercepts. So the guy against the wall that's leaning up, that's an eavesdropper. An intercept is when you run an electric cord from the wall somewhere or the basement, you put a permanent 24-hour microphone somewhere in the wall or somewhere, that picks up everything or all the microphones you want. And then you have it broadcast from downstairs to places where it could be recorded 24/7. That was the old days. But you had to have electricity. You have to have 24, and then you got to get in there and put the thing, whatever. So as the technology got better and the war really kind of kicked off, Germany was looking pretty darn powerful. And they were supported by the City of London, obviously. They would finance the whole thing. And the United States. The Nazi contingent in New York was nothing to joke at. It was a big outfit. So the United States in total lost approximately 350,000 casualties. The Soviet Union lost 20 million in Ukraine fighting the Nazis. So the Nazis were encouraged to attack the Soviet Union with the encouragement of the Soviet Union, with the encouragement of City of London. That's a banking institution, the largest, most powerful banking institution on the planet. It's in the middle of London. It's a little square. It's called the City of London. It's kind of like concealed in a name. And Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union was an ally of the United States and Britain. Hello, what a con that was. Okay, so United States and Britain was helping Soviet Union fight the Nazis. Nazis are driving Ford-powered vehicles, standard and fuel from the U.S. Now, there are more than a few rumors, and I would assume they're correct, that when the Soviet Union was getting its ass kicked and people were just getting slaughtered and the Nazis pushed all the way in, that the Soviet Union was considering making peace with Russia, peace with the Germans, and attacking the United States. Okay, because they figured out something's not right here, something's not right. We win, and then as soon as we get in control, then suddenly the Germans know where we're going and what's going on. That's because the Germans get intelligence from the English. Actually, they're getting intelligence from the English because it's going all to the English, down to the Nazis, with help from a small country in Italy, in a small country in Italy. So interception of information doesn't help. You can get all the information in the fucking world. It's not going to help unless you can figure out what the fuck you need and who's going to listen to it and who's making the decisions. Excuse my French, but that's the way it is. So at the conclusion of the war, Hitler was manipulated. Stalin was manipulated. Eisenhower was manipulated. And they didn't know who was playing off of who in the end. Okay? So immediately at the end of the war, they rebuilt Germany and Japan. And somehow suddenly the Soviet Union became the Cold War. Suddenly. So the rumor that I have come across in a couple different locations and from personal experience speaking with certain individuals, when the Russians were totally getting their ass kicked and they were thinking, and the Bank of London was thinking, the City of London was thinking that the Germans were going to make a deal with the Russians and then come after the British and the Americans. The City of London directed the United States authorities to give the dyes and the paper and the ink to print all the American money they wanted and ship that to Moscow. Moscow just started printing that shit up the yin yang. That's what they're still doing today. Okay, it's off the books. Who the hell knows? You got a $100 bill, looks legit, it's legit. Who the hell knows? So, the critical aspect here is when you have an interceptor at a location, you're going to need to determine who makes the final decision of what's going on. And that's like never anybody at the front. It's always somebody insulated through a series of individuals until it finally gets filtered into the Oval Office or where the hell it is, the bunker or whatever the hell it is, in any country. So when you determine who's going to make the decision, then you just determine, because you're listening to what's going on, then you determine who is giving the advice that's most trusted to the leader, to Lenin, to Stalin, to Eisenhower, to Wilson, whoever the hell it is. Okay? Roosevelt, whoever. And then you make sure that all important information is discovered by these guys, because you're setting it up in front of the people that give the information to the people who make the decisions. And then after a while, the leader gets the information that's correct, the leader gets more information that's correct, the leader gets more information that's correct, and it's kind of coming from the same source all the time. Then you have to toss in a few, suicide mission people that just wipe them out, your own guys, just to prove that it's your thing. Okay. Supposedly Churchill had his son in that situation. He actually put his own son in jeopardy. So who obtains the information and makes the decision is not the person who actually sees or witnesses the incidents and may or may not know that what's happening is staged just so that this information will be transmitted directly up to the person who makes the decisions. So that was at the beginning of the war. This was kind of going along. And then at the middle of the war, then at the end of the war, quote, the end of the war, okay, when they had to flip things, suddenly the people that came into Germany and wiped out the Nazis became the enemy. The people that stopped the Germans and the Nazis became the enemy of the United States, just like that. So today we have the Mossad and Hamas, okay, Israeli, Palestine, okay. Yesterday they started killing each other big time. My understanding is that more than 55% of the fatalities in Palestine were under 21. And this is not over, obviously. Now, if you were to ask somebody on the street who reads, Wall Street Journal, whatever, say who's got the best, they said the Mossad. Or if they really don't know, they'll say the FBI. They don't know. Or the CIA, they'll say CIA. They don't know. Some fabrication from TV. But basically, it's Mossad, because Mossad's taking the cream of the crop from everybody, and they're brilliant people in a tight ship, right? And they're tight, planetary, right? Input's input. This is like a big association. It's like a Masonic lodge, but bigger. So in 49, at the conclusion of the war, the Middle East was kind of not very sophisticated. Still, tribal stuff, and guys riding camels all day and stuff like that, weird stuff. Different, not modern. So there wasn't that much conflict because these tribal guys are pretty serious. They wiped the other guy, that's wiped out, So we got tribe here, they've been generations. So the city of London decided the best place to put a new Jewish country is and that's because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So now at any time, little manipulation, you can get either leader neutralized by the opposite end, or you can get either leader neutralized by their own guys because they're hated. That's one of the major things of having a leader is you want them to be hated. Big time. Think about the leaders right now in the world that are just hated by the country that they're in. I don't know. There might be some in North America. I don't know. Maybe. So in that situation, the interception of the information that's used intelligently can easily outsmart the Mossad. Hello? Mossad guys, there's remote viewing. Come on, don't, I don't think, I would think there's, 5,000 dowsers on the planet that could issue that. I have no doubt about that. And then there's people who do out of body. I have done out of body. It's not hard. I only did it one time though, but it's not hard. I don't need to do it again. I'll douse if I need something. It's a lot cleaner. So with countermeasures, interception, high-level intelligence, you don't need a flood of information. You don't need a fire hose of data. You need one good interceptor, good spot, one good remote viewer, one good dowser, and one good out-of-body person. You've got it pretty much wrapped up because you're filtering out all the other stuff that's going on, all the other ego mess. So the lesson here is it appears on the surface that Mossad was caught with his pants down, and Hamas, representatives of the Earth's largest open-air prison, of the people whose country has been squished, somehow we'll be able to pull something off with the Mossad not figuring it out. So everything is frequency. Every single thing is frequency. Everything is frequency. And inner space is greater than outer space. Okay? The little subatomic particles that are doing their thing, this it's 99.99999% empty space, except these two little dinky things, those little things. But those little things are so small, so tiny. Relatively, they're further apart than the stars and planets. Okay. Relatively, the little teeny things, those little things, they're further apart from each other, relative, than the stars and planets are. So since everything's a frequency and I'm creating a frequency, you're a frequency right now, your heart's pounding is creating all kinds of frequencies, big frequencies, and pluffing it out into your matrix. They're traveling through inner space, and there's a lot of space there for your frequency to continue. And as you know, I'm sure energy cannot be created or destroyed. So what happens is You create a frequency that goes, and as it goes further out, it goes, and then further out, it goes, but never ever stops. It just keeps getting smaller and smaller. So when a remote viewer or a dowser or someone who does out of body exercises unconditional love for humanity and civilization, the door is open. There's a lesson there for Hamas: compassion, not judging others. For Israel, for compassion, not judging others. You can judge people's actions, you can't judge their soul. Divine Source made their soul, and that's where your soul connects to the frequencies that are powered by your unconditional love. Love is the key. Love is always the key, by someone that I respect very, very, very much. She says that. Love is always the key. And it is. So Earth is a school. You're here, you're expressing your own signature frequency of resonances. Thoughts are things. It's like a densification of the conceptualizations. You're perceiving it. Your perception creates it. And then those aspects of you, which are growing and learning lessons about not judging yourself or not judging others, are challenged with some really big tests right now. And I'm speaking to the fine people in the Middle East, Iran, Iraq, and all those countries, people in the United States, city of London, the loving people in England, many, 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 many loving people in England. And New Zealand, don't forget New Zealand, and all those other places. We're all of the same source. You don't want to do something that you don't want done to yourself. Okay, love is always the key. You and all your loved ones are always in my prayers. Spiritual Mag.